In our first story, the Ghana National Canoe Fishermen Council has thrown its weight behind government in the fight against illegal fishing practices in the country. The council announced this decision at a news conference in Accra. This comes after some misconduct by their members in Ada over the weekend. The group, numbering about 100, dismantled canopies and held insult at the Fisheries Minister Elizabeth Afolekwe and her entourage, who were in the town to inaugurate a task force to deal with the matter. However, the council has rendered an unqualified apology to government, the Fisheries Minister and the people of Ghana, urging the media, religious groups and civil society to help in the campaign against light fishing.
The fisheries industry will never recover if these illegalities are allowed to persist. The introduction of the Fishermen Watch Volunteer is a laudable step that cannot be allowed to be killed by any selfish fisherman. It is also one of the important recovery measures that can spur the country's economic growth, food security, and poverty reduction. We condemn unreservedly the riotous opposition to the Fish Watch Volunteer by those fisher folks from various parts of the country congregating at Ada area who think they cannot survive without light fishing. On behalf of the Ghana National Fishermen Council, Greater Accra, we wish to sincerely apologize to the Honorable Minister and his entourage for the behavior of some of our fisher folks when she visited to inaugurate the watch volunteers. We want to reassure the people of Ghana and all fish consumers that we chief fishermen will do everything in our powers to make sure that we provide quality fish and not put lives into jeopardy by any self-seeking fisherman.
And already the council has dismissed suggestions that members of the task force are hooligans and armed with offensive weapons.
The light fishing works. You see, they carve a small canoe and put in a generator and some lights. And then they put the children in that boat, mounting the canoe. With the turbulence, you cannot. So all volunteers are fishermen who have volunteered to do the work. And like I said, we don't arm them with any deadly weapons. Hence, there are no casualties on the seizures that we made. So that is it.
The next question, you call your name, the station you come from.
My name is. The Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, the CSIR, has suspended trials on genetically modified organism food, especially cotton, in the country, after U.S. firm Monsanto withdrew funding. Monsanto, the world's leading GMO seeds producer, is facing challenges in Burkina Faso after that country rejected GMO cotton and began a phased withdrawal of the novel product, so farmers returned to growing conventional seeds. The trials form part of regulatory requirements before they could be commercialized in Ghana. The development means there would be no GMO cotton for farmers anytime soon. We'll bring a report by Joseph Opoku-Gakpo.
The GMO cotton, known as BT cotton, has been engineered to naturally resist attacks by the bollworm insects and other pests. The trials began in 2012. It was supposed to last for about 6 years before the GMO cotton can get to the market. Work froze in 2016, but a principal investigator on the project, Dr. Emmanuel Chamba, tells Joy News it's now been officially suspended.
After the 2 years of the on-station confined field trial, the next step was to go to the farmer's field, after which we'll be thinking of release. Unfortunately, because of the situation in Burkina Faso, Monsanto pulled out from Burkina Faso, and because Monsanto was funding the program, they stopped it. Well, they suspended it in Ghana also.
So now that it's stalled, what impact is that having on farmers generally?
At the moment, they are going back to the conventional variety, where they have to be spraying several times. Nobody wants to spray so many times. But because we have not been able to conclude the experiment, they cannot grow that variety.
GMO cotton was made available to farmers in Burkina Faso in 2010, and by 2013, 70% of all cotton grown in that country was GMO. But concerns arose that fiber produced from the GMO cotton was bad compared to conventional. This drew protests from the cotton companies, resulting in a decision in 2015 for a phased withdrawal of GMO cotton. The cotton companies accused Monsanto of deceit and made a formal request demanding $100 million in compensation. Edwin Bafour of Food Sovereignty Ghana believes this is a lesson for Ghana not to adopt the technology.
I think that the Burkina case shows clearly that some of the expected outcomes that are marketed to people, that are promised the farmers, don't actually realize. And this is part of the red flag that we have been waving for a while. And it can't be closer to home that the outcomes of genetically modified engineering are unknown in the long term.
But plant breeder with Burkina Faso's National Research Institute, Dr. Edgar Traore, insists the technology did not fail his people. He says work is ongoing to correct the errors and get the GMO cotton back on the market.
The technology is still good, but the technology met a technical problem that has also a solution. Even the association, which was behind the decision to go back to the conventional, they are still waiting for better variety with more longer fiber so that they can go again with the technology. And farmers are also requesting for the technology.
Former Deputy Agric Minister Dr. Ahmed Al-Hassan Yakubu says Ghana cannot isolate itself from the use of GMOs, as it is the technology driving agriculture now.
It is a science for the present and also the future. And Ghana cannot afford to miss the boat at all.
Dr. Chamba of the CSIR tells Joy News they are not giving up. He says they are looking for fresh donor support to resume the trials in Ghana for the benefit of farmers.
If we can get money from any other place that will help us to finish the trial, well, we welcome it.
The National Blood Service is adopting new technologies that should make donated blood a lot safer before being transfused to a recipient. Remasol, as it is called, will be an improvement over the current technology, which is unable to ensure that thorough purification of blood, thereby allowing some parasites through. It is being introduced with the support of two Japanese agencies, JICA and Terumo, and is expected to be in full use from June this year. The Konfanoti Teaching Hospital and the Kolebu Teaching Hospital blood banks, according to Terumo, will be the first in Africa to have the technology. We bring a report by Hannah Odami.
Mothers in labor and children are those mostly in need of blood transfusion. However, the quest to save such lives through blood donation sometimes worsens the plight of the patient who is in need of the blood. The technology by JICA and Terumo will reduce the malaria parasite resistance, making it inactive by 87%.
We add a vitamin B, which called riboflavin, to the blood, and this acts with ultraviolet light to clean the blood. What it does, it stops the parasites, the malaria parasite, from being able to replicate in the blood, which this is how it stops the transmission of the disease through a blood transfusion.
The rollout of the technology has been possible through a $500,000 funding from the two Japanese agencies. Chief Executive Officer of the National Blood Service, Dr. Justina Ansa, says they are seeking support from other partners to ensure the initiative is sustained.
We have sat down with all the collaborating partners to ensure that we put together a plan to ensure that, because it's as usual, most of the time we start things and we cannot continue, but we have to make sure that we actually work things out. So that has been done.
Speaking at the event, Health Minister Kweku Adjumameni revealed his office will adequately equip the blood service to facilitate their efficiency.
The Minister of Health duly recognizes the efforts of the National Blood Service, Ghana, in ensuring regular blood supply all year round, despite her limited resources. And I wish to assure you that the ministry will support all healthy partnerships to ensure that the service is adequately resourced with the requisite personnel and logistics so as to ensure efficiency in their service delivery.
For Joy News, my name is Hannah Odami.
Well, let's turn our attention to crime, and the La Badi Police Command is investigating the death of a 30-year-old woman allegedly butchered by her husband, who is on the run. The distraught family of the murdered woman is calling on the police to arrest the prime suspect, her husband, to face the law.
The body had already been taken away by the police at the time the news team arrived. Relatives of the murdered 30-year-old were gathered trying to come to terms with what has befallen them. A relative, Jan Martinson, narrated the sad story to Joy News.
Yeah, I think at about 11:25 thereabout, I've got a seaman friend who came to eat here. And he called me that he's around here. If possible, I can come and see him because we had a job doing at the Presec Secondary School. And so on my way coming, that's when I heard a noise here. And it wasn't much of Egbemi, but you see, the Egbemi comes very faint. Though I went closer, later I got to the opposite side here to tell the owner of the room sister that your brother is fighting with the wife. And so if possible, you could go there and then settle them.
Gory images of the butchered woman were recorded on the phones of witnesses who arrived at the scene before the body was conveyed to the police hospital morgue for autopsy. Blood-soaked clothes of the victim were also found at the scene of the gory incident. Na Anyokwa Jay's report for Joy News.
The Minister of Environment, Science and Technology and Innovation, Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng, says his ministry and other stakeholders are working assiduously on how Ghana can adopt technological means to put waste it generates to good use. Speaking on the sidelines of the launch of the 2017 Innovation Prize for Africa on the theme, Investing in Homegrown Innovation, Professor Frimpong Boateng said Ghanaians are putting their waste to good use.
The Biogas Association of Ghana, it's a group of people who are converting feces and other biodegradable organic material into biogas and compost. A lot of things are happening. In the NGO scene, if you go to Tema, Ashaman, you will find a group called Safisana who are processing about 30 tons of waste every day into energy, biogas, that powers a generator feeding 2.2 megawatts of power into the national grid with compost as byproduct. So a lot of things are happening. And so, again, these are exciting times, and I want you to visit some of these people and see what they are doing. The energy, waste to energy is happening. We don't want even to call it any waste. I even believe that we are even not taking advantage of the waste that we have. We are wasting the waste because this is raw material which must be utilized well. Apart from energy, we're going to get compost, and that will reduce our importation of fertilizer. And so again, we are in exciting times and be part of it. The policies are there. We only have to make Ghanaians should know that they are part of this process. That don't litter indiscriminately. Segregate your waste, as much as possible from the home. Put plastic somewhere, organic material somewhere, and then the waste disposal collection agencies can also segregate the waste, and then from the home throughout to the factory level, we'll be able to either recycle the waste or to process the waste into energy or into compost.
Taking his turn to speak during a panel discussion, the Chief Executive of the Ghana Investment Promotion Council, Mr. Yofi Grant, stated his recommendation to government is to resource the Venture Capital Fund to support agriculture and technology startups.
To necessarily support small companies or anybody. They're there to make money. Banks are not there to support people. They are there to make money. It's a business. People invest in banks. They want their money back. So the banks look at companies that are already making money and support them because that is a sure guarantee. Now, what about the startup companies? Who is there to support the startup companies? And my supposition and my recommendation to this government is to actually resource the Government Venture Capital Fund to look at some of these nascent companies, especially in the technology space. And the reason why it's important, not just technology, but agric, because those two sectors are almost going to be the bedrock of the transformation of Ghana. agree, because food security is national security. And currently Ghana is importing $2.2 billion worth of food. Why can't the $2.2 billion be invested inwards to grow our agricultural base? Then we don't have to rely on anybody giving you rice or maize or whatever it is.
Remember, that's it for the news update we have this morning. We have a lot more news. We'll be reviewing the newspapers and be looking at the online portals. But today, the AM show dedicated to mothers, because this Sunday is Mother's Day. And so today's show is a special edition for our mothers. And we'll be discussing how many career women have argued whether or not to have households to run their home or not, and whether even their partners, that is, if they're a couple, really are into it. That is house health we're talking about here. And then also we'll be having great conversations with the First Lady of the Royal House Chapel International, the Reverend Mrs. Rita Kranchiankra. And then we'll be having Mama Kathy in the studio. She's a well-known counselor who has been on the show a couple of times, and so we'll be speaking to her throughout the period. You can get interactive. Join us on TV is where you can reach us, because we are streaming live there, and we also have an interactive handle on Twitter at Join us on TV. We have to take a break. When we come back, I'll be joined by sweet Mama V also to do the newspapers. Do stay on.